Welcome. If you'd like to make £1,000 or more from a single let that you perhaps own, or perhaps you don't own, then I want to talk to you. And I want you to be able to do that in such a way that you only use 4 hours a week of your time. Through this video series, we've been giving various tips and techniques to make sure that even for your very first one, because what we're talking about here is your first service accommodation unit, but even from your very first one, we want to make sure that you're fully systemized. So we want you to make £1,000 or more per month from a buy-to-let that you own or you don't, using systems that mean you don't need to use any more than 4 hours a week of your time. Because I want you to be able to make 5 times more cash flow from those single lets. Okay, so let's get started. My name's Paul Smith. I'm the author of the best-selling Service Accommodation Success Manual. For the last 14 years, I've been a full-time property investor. I'm a trainer, I'm a mentor, and our operational company, Diamond Service Departments, runs 146 units for other people, and we also run our own units. We run those from way up in the north of Scotland, north of Aberdeen, up as far as Nairn, right down to the south coast of England in Bournemouth. Why am I telling you that? Because I want to make sure you understand that service departments with the right systems and with the right research tools work anywhere in the whole of the UK and beyond. On the 1st of June, and here we are in the middle of June, approaching summer. I don't know about you, but our weather's been lovely, so I hope it's been good for you too. By the very first day of June, for the month of June, we had more than £98,700 of bookings for June, before June even started. And our company regularly turns over hundreds of thousands of pounds a month. But I'm not talking about in this video series. I'm talking about you getting your very first service accommodation unit. Okay, so if you'd like to get a pen, a paper, make yourself comfortable, we'll begin. In this video series, because this is video number 4 in a series of 4, I've been covering massive amounts of information that you need to know if you want to get into service departments. In the first video of this series, I showed you how to earn more than £1,000 a month from a flat or a house by using sites like booking.com or Airbnb. In the second installment of the video number 2, I showed you how to make sure that you're only going to be using a 4-hour work week, because you were going to be using other people and you were going to be using their services to make sure that you weren't running about like a headless chicken. In video number 3, and by the way, if you haven't watched any of these videos, you make sure to click on the link above. It's best if you actually watch the videos in order. Video number 3, I showed you how people from all walks of life had used our proven systems to make a fabulous success of their service accommodation business. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can use really cool apps and gadgets so that you can run your £1,000 a month plus profit machine in less than 4 hours a week, using the systems that we demonstrate to you in video 3 that other people have used. But here's the really cool bit. All you need is one of these. That's a mobile phone, which I'm sure most of you have got. And you can then, if you follow the instructions that I'm going to share with you in today's video, you can then run your service accommodation unit from anywhere in the world. How cool is that? £1,000 a month, using other people, 4 hours or less of your time. Many thousands of people have already done it, and the only tech you need is a mobile phone. Okay, so I'm going to get started with the information just right now. But before I do, I just want to show you around this apartment a little bit. Because the last time I was in this apartment, so this is flat number 1 at Springfield House. The last time I was in this apartment, it was actually an office. It had 6 of our staff in it. Because you can't see through the floor, but downstairs, the whole ground floor, we've got roughly 2,000 square foot of office space. But we've got so big, so busy, we expanded out of there into this flat, which is apartment number 1, and apartment number 2 next door. So you can see we're in a big, spacious, airy lounge We kept all the original features, or as many of the original features as we could, like these lovely fireplaces. I'm not sure if from the video you can see, but well, perhaps you can see from my height. I'm 6 foot tall, and look how far that roof is above my head. So very, very high ceilings. And if I turn you around the other way, you'll see it's such a big room. But we've got a lovely bay window here. I don't know how good the views you can see up the street are, but it's a really nice leafy street. And it's so big, this room. You can see we've actually got a full-size table and 6 chairs in the bay window. So other things that I'd like to share with you in this particular service department, so this lounge is in fact a lounge, dining room, kitchen. It's almost like, it's big enough to be a bedsit, just this room. So you can see, as always, it's a fully equipped kitchen, our favourite 4-slice toaster, a full hob, a full oven, a washer dryer, and a fridge freezer. So all the bits and pieces that the guests will need. I'm not quite sure where that mark's come from, we'll have to get that dusted off. When we did this particular conversion, so this whole block was an accountant's office. And here's the irony, not covering it in this video series, but there's a whole pile of really, really cool, powerful ways to save tax. And these accountants for 40 years didn't claim tax allowances they should have claimed on their own building because they didn't know how to do it. How ironic is that? Some people say that education's expensive. It's not, it's ignorance. Anyway, back to this heater. Because this is a commercial building, we made the decision not to put gas into this building. Because if you connect gas to a normal residential type property, you're probably talking a few £100. But that is massively subsidised. So the gas connection charge for this building, because this is 5 service departments with some office space on the ground floor, so the gas connection charge on its own would have been in excess of £38,000. So the reason I'm showing you this particular heater, which might not seem like the most exciting of things, is that just because we chose to stay all electric, we saved £38,000 on the project's costs. But in addition to that, there's some very, very good low energy, high efficiency electric heaters on the market today, and that's one of them. So just a little tip for you. I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I'm going to get into today's information. So if you just come with me this way, I actually want to show you the door. It's a really, really good idea. You can see it's apartment number 1, and we've called this the St. Ledger apartment. So it's a really, really good idea to give your flats or apartments names, and where possible, make it relevant to the area you're in, or perhaps something about local industry or something. So this is one of our units in Doncaster. Doncaster is really, really famous for the race course here, and the biggest race of the year is called the St. Ledger. So rather than flat 1 or flat 2, we like to put these nice little name signs with a relevant name. So the flat we use is actually 2 stories up, 1 story up because we're already on the 1st floor, and we call it the Paddock. Well, that's partly because it's something to do with racing, but we love Formula 1, so our apartment is called the Paddock, so we get to sleep in the paddock every night. And if I take you out here into the hallway without locking ourselves out, oh, that's another really important point. We can't lock ourselves out because there isn't a Yale lock. Strongly recommend, where possible, that you don't use a Yale lock, because if I thought I was about to lock myself out, guess what all your guests are going to do? So it's just these little things that save you a lot of bother if you think them through. So if you just look down here at the lock, you can see it's a regular lock with a regular key, but there's no Yale lock on it. So it's not possible for someone to accidentally lock themselves out. And if you come out here, you can see this apartment is called the St. George. And you can see there's a lovely period feature up there as well. And I won't take you all around the building, but you can see over there in the back of the hallways, as the stairs go up, because this is the 1st floor, the 2nd floor, then there's a 3rd floor, as you can see up there. But you've got lovely stained glass windows at each level. Okay, so that's a bit of a tour of the apartment. So we're going to get right into today's information right now. Okay, so today I'm talking about apps and gadgets that mean you can run your service department, your very first service department, from anywhere in the world. But you need to do it in such a way, like I showed you with the door, where you're engineering out problems so that you get less customer service issues. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and I'm going to start with something that happened to me 3-4 years ago now, when I used to take customer service calls. And very soon, within 6 months of starting out, I didn't talk to guests anymore because we had other people that were doing that for us. But I remember distinctly being called up by an American guy, and he couldn't operate the heating. This was a flat that he was in. So most of our flats, this flat, as I've already said in this video, has got low energy but high efficiency electric heating. But the particular flat in question had a normal conventional central heating system with water going through it and a gas boiler and all that stuff. And he was cold because he was from Texas. So this guy from Texas was saying, how do I turn the heating up? I said, no problem, sir, I can help you with that. I said, just go to the boiler. So I could hear him moving about in the background, and he found the boiler. And I said, so just turn the boiler, there's a control on the front of the boiler. This particular boiler had a thermostat in front, just turn it up. It was one of those ones. And then we had thermostatic radiator valve, so he shouldn't have needed to do too much. And I won't say exactly what he said because he used some rude words, but in a joking way. He was like, surely man, this can't be right. He said some other words, but let's abbreviate it to that. And it took me probably 15 minutes to work out what he was talking about. But apparently in Texas, a boiler is an oven. So just imagine the confusion of this poor American guy. I've told him, and he's sat, stood there with his head in the oven. Fortunately, it wasn't a gas oven, it was an electric oven. And he was thinking, these Brits must be crazy. They're trying to heat their apartments with so he calls a boiler, an oven. So I was telling him to turn the oven up, and he's like, no. Yeah, I get it. It's going to make the apartment a bit warmer, I suppose, but that's not a very efficient way to heat an apartment. So wherever you can, use technology and gadgets to make sure that you can either remove the need altogether. So remember back to the doorway. So how many times, if you've got a Yale lock, is somebody going to lock themselves out? Especially if in a flat like this, the law requires that you've got one really strong auto closers on it, for your fire protection. And the doors have got the intermittent strips around the edge to stop smoke and all that stuff. So how do you stop people locking themselves out, and how do you stop Americans putting their heads in the oven? So these are the core problems that we're going to try and engineer out in the rest of today's video. I'm going to talk about 3 particular really cool kind of James Bond style apps and gadgets that means you can be relaxed on the beach in Bermuda or wherever you are, and the American is feeling nice and warm and not locked out. Okay, so here we go. Okay, here we go. So the first piece of technology that I'm going to strongly suggest you investigate and get is a way in which you can completely automate 90% of all the communications with your guests, with the cleaners, with all the other people that you need to support you in your service accommodation business, and critically take payments, because this is a business. What's a business? A business is a profitable commercial enterprise that works without you. So who are these people that are going to work 24/7 for you? How are you going to be able to afford them? Is it some sweatshop in the Philippines? No, you want to write this down. There's a number of different ones. I've got some preferred and recommended ones, but it's called a channel manager. So with a channel manager, it's a piece of software, and you can create an account with Booking.com, Airbnb, HomeAway, and all the rest. We're live on more than 38 different booking engines, and it's all automatic. So if one booking comes in over here, it updates the 37 other booking calendars, so you don't have to, and you don't get any double bookings. You also use your channel manager to automatically take payment from the guests. You can also do refunds, and you can also do upgrades for, I don't know, they want to check in early, or they want to check out late, or they want to bring their dog or something. So you can automate 90% of all the communications with your guests, with the cleaners, with the maintenance people, with the credit card companies, with everybody. And here's the stunning thing. You can do that using channel managers we would recommend, and you can even scale using these channel managers, but we're just talking about your very first unit. And so you're probably thinking, well, that all sounds absolutely fantastic, but I can't afford it. Well, I hope you're sitting down because you can get all of that for less than 20 quid a month. 20 quid a month to automate 90% of all the communications with everybody you need to communicate with. So that's number one, that's Channel Manager. Number two, talked about meet and greet in previous videos. So meet and greet is a really powerful way to put some human relationship into the game with the guest. Now, of course, if you own two semis, you live in one, and the one next door is your service department, you can probably do quite a lot of personal meet and greet because it's not a problem. But if the flat you've got or the house you've got is 7 miles from your home, you don't want to be stood around on a snowy evening waiting because somebody's had a puncture on the M6 or whatever. Or, you know, one of their kids got ill and was being sick, or there are so many reasons, or just traffic, why people get delayed. Planes delayed, trains delayed. So you can be stood there like a spare part, absolutely unproductive. But if you want some human interaction where the person doesn't go to some, you can absolutely use key boxes. And then if you're using key boxes, the person doesn't need to be meted and greeted. But if you want a really efficient way to actually get the person talking to a human, to be able to pick the keys up, maybe to be able to take a copy of their passport, you know, all these other things you might want to do in a meet and greet. Well, believe it or not, you can do that for just £12 a month. £12 a month per property. And that is using a service called Key Nest. So that's like key, as in key for a lock, K-E-Y, nest, as in bird's nest. So just go onto the Key Nest website and see if there's a Key Nest supplier near you. So what is a Key Nest supplier? Well, it'll be a 24-hour shop or a petrol station or a restaurant that stays open really late. So it will be near your flat or apartment. So the guest would go there and pick up the keys, and then they would go to the apartment. So I hope that makes sense. And the third really set of cool apps and gadgets, and these really are apps and gadgets, is I'm going to suggest you automate as much of your property as possible. So we talked about the guy from Texas who was putting his head in the oven and, you know, and all that other stuff. Well, how can you make sure that you don't ever get any customer service problems with your heating or your hot water? I'll tell you how. You can put in really affordable technology to make sure that the heating and the hot water are controlled from your phone. Now, Aniko does this and she loves it. She loves playing on the phone. And you can also, you know, so if the apartment was empty for a day or two, you could turn the heating right down to save money. If you know a guest is going in at 4 o'clock on Friday and it's in the winter, you could turn the heating on at 2 o'clock so that it's nice and warm by the time the guest gets there. And there's a variety of these systems. The one we tend to use is a system called Inspire. Now, Inspire is remote control for your heating and your hot water. And you've got an app on your phone, so you can actually control the heating remotely. So if it's too hot, too cold, too whatever, and the guest calls, all you need to do is change the settings on your phone. And I tell you what, it impresses the hell out of the guest when you do that. And the final app that I'm going to suggest is having CCTV on your phone. So again, sorry, I didn't tell you how much the Inspire system is. You'll generally get Inspire fitted and operational, everything else. It's effectively like a fancy remote control thermostat. It's about 170, 180 pounds, something like that. But there are cheaper alternatives. And so going back to the CCTV again, there are times where it's really, really useful for you to be able to see what's going on in your property, or not in your property, you can't do that, but outside your property from your phone. So again, I'm going to make you a specific technology recommendation. It's called Ring Cam, and in particular it's called Stick Up Ring Cam. Now, you can't go put in CCTV inside the property, that's not on. But what you can do is put it just above the entrance door, you know, looking down so you can see who's coming in and who's going out. So you can use this if the guest is stuck trying to get some information. You can actually talk through the Ring Cam. It's two-way communication, and you can point things out. So perhaps if you have got a lockbox, you can help the guest in that way. You can also check, if you want to, that if the apartment's been booked for 2 people, it's actually 2 people that are there and not 4 people, because you can see how many people are coming in and out. And you can avoid all sorts of potential issues. So if you're having deliveries to the apartment, you could actually let the delivery person in using the keys in the key box, remotely using the ring cam. So stick up ring cam. So to summarise that section, the first piece of technology to automate all the communications between credit card companies, OTAs, online travel agents, guests and all that stuff was a channel manager. So make sure you make a note and go do some research on channel managers. The second one was the remote meet and greet for just £12 a month, which was Keynest. And the third one was property automation. Now you can go as crazy as you want, but if you install Inspire home automation for the heating and the hot water, and then you install RingCam, you've probably done the whole thing for about 400 quid from a physical installation point of view, and from an ongoing cost point of view, you're probably looking at 30 quid a month for your channel manager and Keynest. So really, really, really affordable. Okay, to repeat, if you haven't watched, if you've just jumped in straight to video 4, I'd really encourage you to go back and watch video 1, 2 and 3. I'm sure you'd agree, we've come a long way together over this 4 video series. My objective when I started this series was to show you just how simple it is to get your first service apartment up and running and make your first £1,000 a month extra, could be even more, using just 4 hours a week or less, and being able to run your business from anywhere in the world, just using your phone. So if you like the idea of taking the next step on the journey, I'd like to invite you to a completely free webinar next Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock. So if you want to take the next step on your service accommodation journey with me, I'd like to talk to you Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Thank you very much. You've been wonderful. I've been Paul. See you on the webinar. Bye-bye.